Hello folks, after the traditional Christmas holiday lull, things are starting to pick up with the launch of patch 11.10 undermined on the PTR for public testing. I've taken a quick look at the new content on the PTR and I'll be giving you my story spoiler safe first impressions in this video, so do make sure to stick around for that. If you're a fan of BlizzCon, you may remember that back when Blizzard announced that there would be no BlizzCon 2024, they did mention plans for some smaller events around the world, which seemingly never happened. I say seemingly because Blizzard this week announced a mini 30th anniversary world tour, which will take place in 6 cities over the next few months. Details on screen. There isn't a lot more information currently, but according to the main site, tickets will be free and you can expect to enjoy an evening of live entertainment, meet World of Warcraft developers and experience unique activities. According to Blizzard, more details will be shared through regional Warcraft channels, including ticket information. It's not very clear what they mean by a regional channel. My advice would be to watch the main World of Warcraft Twitter feed and the forums. I will, of course, update you all once details go live, so make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss out on those. I'm in the final push to hit 1,000 subscribers, a very important milestone for channels like mine, and your help to get there will mean the world to me. But first of all, let's get caught up on the live game, where this week we saw the launch of 2 new pieces of content. The first of the 2 was the fate of the Kirin storyline, which can now be picked up from Khadgar and Dornogal. If Khadgar is missing, you do need to complete the 11.0 War Within campaign. Hopefully Blizzard will come round and add a skip for that later on. The story itself is well worth doing, reminding me of the very well received Blue Dragon questline from Dragonflight, showing us the impact of the loss of Dalaran on the people of the Kirin Tor, and seeing them take the first steps to defining a new future for the organisation. There are, however, a few oddities. For example, we're told that the Kirin Tor cannot get to Kazilgar due to some magical disturbance, but didn't many of them land in Kazilgar when Dalaran was destroyed? I mean, I distinctly remember rescuing some of them during the Level Up campaign in Ash-Kahet. The other bit of new content is the return of Turbulent Timeways. This, if you didn't experience it during Dragonflight, brings time walking back to a weekly rotation, along with an XP buff. Every time walking dungeon gives a stacking 5% buff for 2 hours. And if you get to 4 stacks, that jumps up to 30% for 3 hours. Get that 30% buff in 5 of the next 7 weeks, and you can also earn a new mount, the Timely Busby. And if you missed the previous mount from the previous Turbulent Timeways event, that is now available on the time walking vendors for 5,000 badges. This event will be ending on the 25th of February, after which time walking will be returning to the normal 3-week rotation. The new content also means that the 20th anniversary event is over, but not everything from the event is going away. If you didn't manage to do the guest relations quest line and get that detective title, which is required to get the Felcycle secret mount, it is still possible to get it, as Alex in our notice board has moved to Dalaran and you can still collect the celebration crates. I'm going to be releasing a guide on how you get the title in 2025 in a few days' time. And if you have any bronze celebration tokens left over, the good news is that when patch 11.10 does launch, most likely next month, those tokens will be converted to Time Warp badges at the rate of 1 bronze token for 20 Time Warp badges. There is still one more bit of content to look forwards to before patch 11.10 launches, and that's Plundersorm, which will be back next week. The event will be running from the weekly reset through to February the 18th. If you were someone who found the Renown track a bit of a grind, the good news is that that is now being replaced by the Plunder Store, a new in-game store that will allow you to target the rewards you want from the event. As well as the previous rewards making a return, there are some new rewards as well, the most notable of which are 2 new mounts, the Plunderlord's Midnight Crocalist and Hook Talon, another parrot mount. Plunderlord's also going to be getting a new practice mode, albeit we don't actually know very much about how that will work. And sadly, if you were a fan of the Trios mode, that does not seem to be making a return. To celebrate the launch of Plunderstorm, there's going to be a new Twitch drop, this time with a PvP vibe. The Cowers Azure target is a recolor of the Trading Post target back piece, and it will be obtainable by watching 4 hours of your favourite Twitch streamer between January the 14th and February the 4th. Anyways, that's all from the live game, and so it's time to move on to the PTR. As always, while I will be avoiding story spoilers, this section is going to include coverage of the new zones and the new gameplay. The first thing you are likely to notice is an update to the loading screen. One of the biggest requests for the new Warband Campfire was the ability to customize the scenes, and that is now a thing with the addition of 4 new loading screens. Onaran Overlook is awarded just for logging in on 11.10. Coulter's Key comes from the Season 2 Delver's Journey. Freywold Spring is from a new meta achievement, All That Kaz, which includes many of the requirements from the 11.00 meta, along with one new requirement, Kazalgar Lore Hunter, which you can actually work on right now as it's in the current game. And finally, Galagio Gallery, which requires Racing to a Revolution, which seems to be the 11.10 meta achievement. And if you're someone who doesn't want to choose the screen, there's also a favourites feature and the option to get a random screen whenever you load into the game. In addition to that, we're also getting the ability to add some more warband groups, up to 20 in fact. Each group can hold up to 4 characters, and we can name those groups and collapse them in the UI. So finally, we're going to get some order to the character selection screen madness. Getting into the gameplay, and one thing that I was hoping for was to see a continuation of the much longer questing campaigns for the major patches as we saw in Dragonflight. I'm not going to go into many details in order to avoid spoilers, but that hope has been met, with a 6-chapter campaign along with a bunch of side quests, another great addition from Dragonflight. It remains to be seen how or if that will be time-gated, but hopefully they will follow the pattern from Dragonflight and the start of the War Within, with minimal to no waits between those chapters. Quality-wise, the execution of the story is a major step up from its 10.10 equivalent, and it does a great job of living up to the higher bar that's been set by the War Within's launch campaign. If you've ever done the Goblin starting zone, the new Undermine zone will feel like a very fitting successor, capturing and updating the Goblin architecture and vibe. Despite nominally being underground, it's very brightly lit, and with the absence of flying, you really don't have that awareness of being underground that we experience in the other zones. The zone is entirely filled with the Goblin City, and it is significantly smaller than a regular major patch zone, being around the size of the city of Suramar, but it is also very dense, with no 2 buildings looking alike, and many of those structures being explorable, which does mean that unlike the Siren Isle, it really doesn't feel all that small at all. The zone seems at first glance to have a similar amount of open world activities to a standard zone, be it world quests, dailies, or even a world boss, and that certainly serves to make it feel quite busy. Overall, if you're a fan of exploring the open world, there is going to be quite a lot of content here, and I'm confident that it's going to feel a lot more expansive even than the city of Suramar did. And that's not all. We're also getting extensions to the Ringing Deeps in Zandalar, which appear currently to mainly be used as a setting for the campaign story. I haven't yet seen any new world quests or events in either area, although the Ringing Deeps does have quite a few rares and treasures. I'm hoping that these are perhaps still a bit of a work in progress, and we'll see Blizzard add some more reasons to visit the areas after the campaign story is over. Sadly, the Undermine is not fully connected to the existing zones. It is reached by taking a rocket mining ship, but this is simply a regular loading screen port. This, in my view, is a bit of a missed opportunity. One of World of Warcraft's biggest strengths has been the lack of loading screens between zones, which helps to make the world feel large and immersive. And I do feel that this could have been a great opportunity to reuse the tech from the Deep Run tram, which has been in the game since vanilla. Now, the reason that Undermine is a no-fly area isn't just its small size, but due to a brand new feature called D.R.I.V.E. This is essentially a dynamic ground mount. Shortly after arriving, you'll be getting a goblin car, and what a car! Capable of reaching similar speeds to a skyriding mount on the ground, this feels super fast, sometimes too fast. It's not quite as intuitive to pick up as skyriding was, so you can expect crashes, and a lot of them. But if you played games like Pod or Rocket Racer, you'll likely pick it up very quickly. I was honestly in 2 minds about it at first, until I gave one of the races a go. That turned out to be as addictive as the skywriting races were for me, and it certainly won me over, albeit I'm still not 100% sure about it as a way to get from A to B. Currently in the PTR, there is a bug where you can suddenly lose control of the camera, most often with it being locked to face directly upward, and there's also a distinct lack of sound effects. Most likely these will be addressed by the time the feature goes live. More seriously though, while I personally have not been affected, I have seen a fair few folks in the community reporting issues with motion sickness, and to a much greater degree than was the case for skywriting. Hopefully that's just due to the camera issues and Blizzard can tune some of that out. But thankfully the compact nature of the city means that if it does become a problem for you, normal mounts should still feel pretty good to get around on. Blizzard this week have also released the test schedules for both the Raid and Mythic Plus, with the first round of Raid testing being quite compressed towards the end of this month. On the other hand, Mythic Plus testing seems to have been greatly extended to 6 weeks. This is being split into phases, with different groups of dungeons being available in the different weeks. I suspect that Blizzard are looking to get some more focused feedback and testing for Mythic Plus this time around, and I think that is a really good thing. The first Mythic Plus season of The War Within had a very mixed reception, with a lot of negative feedback, and so I'm hoping that this is part of an effort by the dev team to get Mythic Plus back onto a healthier footing overall. One last update that I think will be very welcome to a lot of people is a brand new approach to swirlies. If you do raid a Mythic Plus, you're going to be familiar with missing those dull brown swirlies on that dull brown floor. And thankfully, the new approach will not have that problem, as they are a lot more visible and have a much more defined edge. And finally, if you've ever had weird issues with game performance or worried about having too many add-ons, Blizzard are now adding the ability to see add-on CPU and memory usage in the base UI, along with pop-up warnings if your add-ons start to misbehave and consume too many resources. Add-ons definitely can impact game performance, especially if they're broken or needing updated, so this could be a really good tool to help you track down those weird performance issues. And that's it for this week. I'm super interested to hear what you're looking forward to in the new patch. Are you excited for the D.R.I.V.E system, or are you just hoping for a smoother Mythic Plus season? Let me know in the comments down below. I have a suspicion that the pace of news is going to step up quite a bit in coming weeks, especially in the PTR, as we start looking forwards to what I think many players will be hoping is a bit of a reboot for the seasonal content for The War Within. As well as keeping up with all the news updates, I'll be doing a few deeper dives into the new patch in the run-up to its release. So again, do make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out. And if you've enjoyed this video, then do hit that like icon to let me and YouTube know that I am on the right track. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.